Right. All right, New Orleans, welcome back to the third segment of the Jack Clegg Show. Matthew, are you still there? We kind of cut you off. Matthew, sorry we had to cut you off abruptly. Go ahead.
So there was something that you didn't bring up I'd like to bring up, and with your permission, I will.
Go right ahead.
Have you been seeing any news from the big prominent news broadcasters, the cable shows, the broadcast shows, or even many of the corporate talk radio shows about the riots in the United Kingdom?
No, but I have been following that very closely, and there is almost silence in America about it. You have to. It's terrific, and yes, let's talk about it. I actually flipped a coin whether I was going to talk about the Indian wrestler or that story. So, and it is a big question now. But go ahead. Let me give a little bit of background information, and then I want your comments about it for the audience. There was a stabbing incident in a small town on the west coast of
Southport.
Yes, it's called Southport, on the west coast of England, near Liverpool, and it's a resort town. And the person who did it, I think they killed 3 kids and injured another 15 by stabbing. Okay, and the person was an immigrant, and England has been
technically the child of 2 immigrants from Rwanda.
Right. And Rwanda is important to this story because England is there's a compromise going on where England had an empire, as we know. Okay. And many of the countries in that empire won their independence, but they still have a connection with England. And England looks at those people favorably. So they allow refugees from those countries to come to England. Well, they have overrun the country. Overrun may be a little bit strong, but they have.
No, it's not.
Okay, according to Matthew, it's not. But they certainly have caused a lot of issues, just like the illegal immigrants are causing here. But it's a smaller country. So what they decided to do was to try to place them all in Rwanda, in refugee camps in Rwanda until their immigration status could be confirmed. Is that a fair description of what's happening?
It's close. But
okay.
One of the things that's happening now is the English are pissed. And they are righteously pissed.
Right.
They are out on the street protesting, and guess whose side the police are on?
The police are calling the protesters right-wing thugs. They are arresting them, and they are charging them very similar to what happened in Washington, D.C. on a date called January 6th. Yes, you've got that right. Okay, so this story is huge for the audience. You can look up, you can Google the story and read what everybody's talking about, but you're not going to hear it on Fox. You're not going to hear it on CNN. You're not going to hear it because it's what could possibly occur here. We are already having murders and rapes and other things, but they're kind of spread out throughout the country. What happened in Southport, because there were a lot of people that were affected there, and they've been screaming about it for so long, and the government has not been listening to the actual citizens of England. I think for that reason, they've had no choice but to turn to violence. So they've upended some police cars. I think some policemen were assaulted. Not a good thing, but the frustration has built up so high
So is
among the
it better,
citizenry.
though, philosophically, is it better to just be assaulted by the police for the crime of being out and using angry words to describe your current situation? Is it better to just sit there and let the police beat the shit out of you?
Well,
Pardon me.
no,
Or is it better to fight back against the police who are assaulting you? I
well,
don't know the answer to that.
and part of it is we can't make a complete comparison between England and the United States. A very close, but not a complete. It's not the same. We have certain
Well, the
rights
United
here.
States is the children of Albion.
Well, and that's true. And we have freedom of the press. We have freedom of speech. We have a lot more ingrained constitutional freedoms than the citizens of England have. However, the angst and the anger of people who pay taxes in a country to see their money going to other people who are committing crimes in their country, that frustration, I think, transcends the constitutional differences between the two, in my view.
So, yeah, and this is worth studying. I'm going to mention a source that's both on YouTube and Rumble and BitChute. It's called the Podcast of the Lotus Eaters. The one on YouTube is broken up
Lotus, Lotus, right?
Lotus, yes, Eaters.
Okay.
It is broken up into smaller segments on YouTube, so you don't have to spend an entire hour listening to a podcast.
Right.
But they describe what's going on in a fair amount of detail. And if you are willing to go back in time to describe why it's happening, the problem is that there's no opposition party in the United Kingdom. There is just
Right.
controlled opposition.
Right.
Situation in the United States prior to Donald Trump, think rhinos, think Chamber of Commerce.
Right.
We want the cheap labor.
And we're going to face that same situation here. We are. No matter who wins as president, of course, I personally am supporting Trump and endorse him. However, no matter who the president is, we're going to have battles, and I don't mean physical battles, but disputes over what to do with the millions and millions of people that are already here. While I hear Trump saying they're going to be deporting them, easier said than done. When they're living in sanctuary cities, and the authorities in the sanctuary cities don't cooperate. That's where I'm looking at. That's what I'm looking at.
Another YouTube video that is worth looking at, even though the guy who
hello, Matthew. They managed to censor Matthew all the way from YouTube.
Even though the guy who puts it on is a desperate normie, and that's called Cash Jordan.
Okay. All right. And so for our audience that may want to listen to that, I appreciate you mentioning that. Our dispute here in this country is, I think, whatever Europe does, we're about 6 to 9 months behind them. This is going to happen here. I'm not saying we're going to have riots. I don't know that for sure. But the disputes, right now, we're fighting over who's going to be our leader. But the costs to American taxpayers when the economy is tanking, it just makes it worse. So it's a great topic. I'm glad you reminded me to bring it up, and it's something that we're going to have to look at. Matthew, you brought up a good situation. We got to take a break now. Go ahead. You got something to say? Quick. We hung up on you. All right. Sorry about that, man.
What does grace mean to you? At Grace of the Green Light, a 501c3 nonprofit, we believe that everyone deserves a hot meal, clean drinking water, and the chance to go home again. Our work is made possible through the generous support of Emery and James Limited, an independent insurance agent serving Covington, Hammond, and Metairie, Louisiana. Emery and James, serving our community for generations. Learn more at emeryjames.com.
Hi, I'm Huck.
And this is Dave.
Please join us on Liberty or Lockdown on Thursdays at 5 p.m.
Be there.
Hi, I'm William Wallace. You can hear me live on Tuesday nights at 5 o'clock here on WGSO, or see what I have to say on Facebook at William Wallace for America.
Join me, J.C. Smith, on Stay Safe NOLA, Mondays at 5 p.m. as I discuss crime and how to stay safe in the Crescent City. Stay Safe NOLA, only on WGSO 990 AM.
Real Talk with Revolution is back. This is Effie, and I've brought along some new friends.
Nikki D here. We'll be talking real estate, real life, and everything in between.
Please join us every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday right here on WGSO 990 AM and streaming live at WGSO.com.
Broadcasting from deep within the Louisiana Purchase, beneath spacious skies, overlooking the fruited plain, and smack dab in the land of the free. The American Ground Radio Program with Louis R. Avalone and Stephen Parr, where freedom grows. Listen each weeknight from 7 to 9 p.m. with Louis R. Avalone and Stephen Parr here on WGSO 990 AM.
Get ready, Greater New Orleans. The Great Southern Gun and Knife Show is coming for 2 days only, August 24th and 25th at the Pontchartrain Center on Williams Boulevard. Show hours, Saturday 9 to 5, Sunday 10 to 5. Hundreds of dealer tables available, full of guns, knives, ammunition, holsters, gun books, camouflage, jewelry, and more. That's the Great Southern Gun and Knife Show, August 24th and 25th at the Pontchartrain Center. Show hours, 9 to 5 on Saturday, 10 to 5 on Sunday. Don't miss it.
Hey, fellow patriots, I'm John.
And I'm Mike.
We're the Jambalaya Boys from the Holy and Patriotic Jambalaya Show.
Join us Friday night at 5 to 6 p.m. on WGSO 990 AM and WGSO.com.
God, family, and country.
All right, New Orleans, welcome to the fourth and final segment of the Jack Clegg Show. Apologies if we've kind of meandered a little bit today, but and I want to thank Matthew for calling in and raising that issue about what's happening in the UK. It's an interesting story, and my personal opinion is that you need to know about what's happening there. It's a different country, different rules, but they're having the same issues we are with what to do with our immigrants. Let's get back to the line. We have Rusty, who is patiently holding. Rusty, how are you this evening or this morning?
Yes, this morning. Jack, I'm okay. I got something to say about Walsh and Harris.
Okay.
But just for about 10 seconds, I want to say that I have a friend of mine who lives in England.
Okay.
And the politics is different there than here.
Sure.
They don't carry the weight as much of racial history. And they're not afraid to express themselves if they think that somebody's doing something wrong, even if their race is not English and Anglo-Saxon. They're not afraid. We're stuck in this country, and which brings up the main topic I wanted to bring up.
Sure.
Which is Walsh. From what I understand, Walsh and Harris both have been strong on defunding the police.
Oh, huge.
Yeah, huge. And of course, unlike England, we don't want our policemen to turn against us. But at the same time, no, if anybody's out there who's considering voting for these two, you don't have no understanding what life would be like without the police.
Right.
You may not like them personally. You may think they're heavy-handed at times. You may think this, but every place would be like New Orleans, but even worse.
Well, I can't disagree with you. I cannot disagree with you.
And particularly, I like to appeal. I do this quite a bit. Well, I have done it a few times anyway. To the ladies out there, they're not going to be safe if there's no police. Now, they're not safe now, but it's going to be much, much worse.
Right.
And if any of these women are thinking, well, I'm going to vote for Harris because she's the first woman to be elected if she's elected, you have no idea that these people are going to lead you into a pit, and your life will not be, if they get their way by defunding the police, your life is not going to be safe. You're not going to be able to know where to go, if you can go. And so I guess that's the bottom line of what I wanted to say. So,
well, I cannot agree with you more. And the phenomenon of crime is not just New Orleans; it's everywhere.
Yeah.
I work at the City Park Golf Course, okay, and occasionally there will be golfers that come from all over the country, and I have a little badge that says my name, and it says I'm Chicago, Illinois, and there'll be golfers from Chicago. Oh, you're from Chicago? Yeah, you know, it's nice to talk to them about neighborhoods and so forth. And last weekend there was a bachelor party, about 12 guys from Chicago, and they were down here. And nice guys, had a ball. It was all fun. And I asked them, I said, what happened over the 4th of July? Because the stories out of Chicago, there were over 119 people that were shot. There were 19 people that were killed.
Mm-hmm.
And they all lived around Wrigleyville. That's around Wrigley Field. It's the near north side, and it's a better neighborhood, but it's not mansions. And they said the same thing that I've believed since I lived in Chicago. I left in 73. That there are certain areas of the city that you just don't go to. You just don't go. Not because you hate the people there, not because you're a racist, not because you're a sexist, not because there's anything wrong with you, except you don't go places where you might get hurt. I mean, this is a fundamental you would teach a child. Okay, Billy, there's a fire. Don't go near the fire.
Right.
Billy, don't go near the fire. Billy, take that bucket of water and put it over your sweater. You've caught fire. I mean, you are taught to avoid danger. And in cities all over the country, it's getting worse and worse. You would think that there are outlets for anger. There are outlets for rage. There are outlets. Political opinions are everywhere. We get people can run for office no matter what stripe they are. And they can say pretty much what they want to. Yet crime is getting worse. And when I say these are huge, this gentleman was the governor of Minnesota when George Floyd was killed in Minneapolis. When the riots took place. He decided not to call out the National Guard.
Right.
And this was a tremendous lift to those arsonists, those killers who were criminals. It wasn't a political issue anymore. It was a crime issue. And he let it go on. And then our vice president, Harris, organized groups to bail out everyone that had been arrested.
Yes.
So,
yes. And we got to keep that in mind. The crime situation in the United States has been of epidemic proportions since at least the 1970s.
Sure.
And it led to those riots where they say, well, we let criminals go all alone. Let's let the rioters do what they want to. And this is the type of mentality the Democratic Party has fallen into because they don't want to deal with crime. Let's face it. We shouldn't be accepting the amount of crime that happens in our country. We shouldn't do it. And they want basically to give a get out of jail free card or a pass to the criminals. And let's face it, Jack, I'm going to say it. I don't know if you'll say it or anyone else will say it. It's really based upon race. It's based upon race. And now with the illegals coming in, which many of them are Hispanic, though his Spanish people are European background, they don't want to deal with that either based upon race. Now, I'm not saying every black person is involved with crime by any means, but they don't want to deal with it because they're going to lose votes.
Right.
And that's what the Democratic Party knows.
Right.
And so the crime continues, and I imagine with the illegals, that's going to continue too. It's going to be the same.
Well, as I think I said earlier in the program, okay, the illegal immigrant issue is a massive issue as well as crime for the election in November. It's massive, okay? And no matter how much distraction is put forward by either of the parties, those are the two issues. Even if Trump wins, and like I said, personally, I hope he wins. I think the country's much better off and is in a much better direction with him than with Kamala Harris. That's just my personal opinion. But even if Trump wins, what's he going to do? Now, he said he's going to deport all the illegal immigrants. How's he going to go into Chicago and find them when the mayor of Chicago will not let the police cooperate with ICE? That's what a sanctuary city is all about. What are they going to do in city after city after city? And if the rural areas begin to turn in the immigrants to deporting, the immigrants are going to move to cities where they know they won't be caught. I mean, we live in interesting times.
Jeff, let me ask you this.
Go right ahead.
Trump, he's saying he's going to deport many of these people. I don't know how many, what percentage. But would we rather to let them stay here? Not knowing who they are?
No, I'm in favor of deporting, but I don't think it's going to be peaceful.
No.
That's my point. That was my point.
Right. I agree.
Rusty, thank you for calling. Appreciate it. Folks, we've blown through this hour. Once again, it seems like 20 minutes. It's gone by so fast. Thanks for listening in. And next Tuesday, we'll be back on 11 o'clock.
Hi, this is Kevin Carr, host of Fat Guys at the Movies. Listen every Sunday at 8 p.m. on WGSO 990 AM, the community voice of the Crescent City.
Hey, Mimi, we love Wednesdays, but we're moving to a new time.
Listen to He Said, She Said, Wednesdays at 6 p.m.
As usual, we'll be discussing and debating the hot topics.
And taking your phone calls.
You can find out who's right. Of course, that's me.
No, wait, Jeff, I'm never wrong. Remember, happy wife, happy life.